Oh no, my music. Total failure. Oh, guys, there's no happy music for the Profit Power Hour. It doesn't want to work today. Wait a second. I think I figured it. Nope, let's go on. Make that failure to launch speed. Sorry about it.
Okay, Ben.
All right, everybody, welcome to season 4 of the Profit Power Hour. I am sorry about the technical issues. It looks like I pressed the mute button on our intro music, but we are here. We are ready to go. We are going to have an awesome time today talking about something very near and dear to everyone's heart right now, which is unit growth and sales. So, the title of our webinar today is How Fast Growing PMs Are Adding 20 to 30 doors a month, and we cannot wait to get started. My name is Brad Johnson, CEO of Profit Coach and your host and occasional co-host of Profit Power Hour. We at Profit Coach, we help PM entrepreneurs build highly profitable self-managing companies and are excited to bring this to you today. Here is a picture of my beautiful family. The reason behind the work that I do. That's my wife and my young children from just a few weeks ago. Danny did this for years, so I'm continuing the tradition with the kiddos here. And today we have 3 very special guests, all of whom are killing it on the new doors circuit. We have Christy Lagasse from SJA Property Management in the Seattle Redmond area. We have Yoni Schmidt, Key Renter PMC, kind of all over the Midwest. He can talk a little bit more about the different territories that they cover. And then we have a longtime listener, first-time caller, Doug Moe of Touchstone Property Management. Doug is a staple on the Profit Power Hour, and it's awesome to have him here on the panel. I will give them a little bit more time to introduce themselves very shortly. So yes, fast-growing PMs, adding 20 to 30 doors each month. Going to talk through a number of different topics on that. I will lay that out for you in just a moment. As I'm doing so, please, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A box. Questions for the panelists. We will monitor the chat as well. You're, of course, encouraged to interact with each other through the chat. You can ask a question through the chat if you want everyone to see it. If you have a question directly for the panelists or for myself, feel free to put that in the Q&A box. Okay, here's the agenda for today. We're going to start with lead generation, demand generation, creating demand for your PM company. Then we're going to talk about sales. How do you take that demand and turn it into signed agreements? Then we're going to go a little bit higher level. Growth planning and forecasting, engineering predictable results for your business, and then finally growth leadership, which is really about building teams that own the number, that own the outcome, and are highly accountable to you and to your organization. Okay, I want to start by launching a poll just to see. This is anonymous, so there's no shame here. I want to know how many doors are you adding per month right now? I know that this goes up way down, up and down, right? You can have a lot one month and low one month, but if you smooth it out over the last 12 months or over the last 6 months, how many doors on average are you adding per month? And while I do that, I'm going to turn it back over to our panelists here to allow themselves to introduce them to you and give you a little bit more context on what they do in their role, how long they've been doing it, etc. So, ladies first, Christy, if you would give us just a brief overview of you, what you do, where you do it, that would be awesome. You guys can keep filling out that poll while she's giving that answer.
Yeah, so I'm the Director of Growth at SJA Property Management here in Redmond, in Washington, and I manage our sales team and our marketing team to bring in doors and close sales.
Nice. And how many people work on your team in sales and marketing?
So I have one BDM currently, and we are also on the hunt for our next BDM. And I have a marketing coordinator, and we freelance with a video editor as well.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Yoni, go for it.
Hey, Yoni Schmidt here with Key Property Management Company. We operate in 7 markets, 5 states, currently managing 5 BDMs and a team of roughly 10 people. That also includes some sales VAs. I'm in charge of our sales and marketing engine and our growth engine. And as I mentioned, we operate in 7 markets: Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Northwest Arkansas, Wichita, Kansas, St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis.
Okay. Also known as the Great Midwest. You
The
cover.
great, yep.
Okay. That's awesome. Doug. Doug, where are you tuning in from today? Just get it over with and tell everybody.
Well, I'm tuning in from Kauai right now, and so apologies for the poor lighting in the hotel room here. But I'm based out of Portland, Oregon, and started a year ago at 0 doors, and we've grown to 500 doors over the past year. We're a small team of 6 people, and being a part of the Crane Group is a big part of why I'm able to kind of take time away and be
Nice.
able to do what I'm doing. But I also fulfill the BDM role for our company.
Yes, Doug is a Doug is an interesting case, and so I wanted to have Doug on to be adding that many doors that quickly from inception is pretty unique, and to do it as kind of a one-man show. So excited to get your opinion and your take as well. So, as you look at these three, we're looking at very different operations, right? Christy is in one large market and has a small team to manage. Yoni's in many markets spread out over a large geographic area and has a large team to manage. And then Doug is kind of in the solo role, but also is on the newer side. And so we're seeing growth in lots of different areas and in lots of different ways. So I think that will be very cool, very good conversation. All right, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to display it to you, which will illustrate very clearly why. Can you guys see this poll? This will illustrate to you very clearly why we are having this conversation. That those results do not surprise me. That 20-ish% of people are adding more than 10 doors a month, and 90% of folks, I'm doing rough math, it's probably wrong. 85-90% of folks are adding 10 or less doors. There is a shortage, it seems, of leads right now, and conversion rates are lower. Just some difficult headwinds. And I think these folks will be able to give you some actionable, helpful, here's what's actually working for me right now sort of answers. So really looking forward to the conversation. All right, here's how I'm going to contextualize this. I'm going to ask this question for you, which is, if you added 30 doors a month, what would that mean for your business? Would that give you more freedom? Would that be more chaos? Do you feel like that would substantially impact your bottom line or just your top line, etc.? So if you want, go ahead and throw in the chat, like, what would change about your business if you added 30 doors a month? Would you have to hire people? Would you be able to handle it? So being able to put yourself in that frame of mind of, well, this is what my future would look like if I did this. While I do that, I will provide a little math here. So if you added 30 new units a month and you had average revenue per unit, and I'm going to do this to illustrate to you, kind of the profit coach perspective on door count, because if you follow us, myself, our conversations, you probably have heard us use phrases like profit over doors and calling door counts a vanity metric, like, a little bit of hyperbole to try to make the point, which is, a lot of people get in this business and think the way that I will make a lot of money in property management is if I just add as many doors as I can. And there is some truth to that, but we are often pushing back on the add as many as I can without any thought to how I'm adding them. So here's how I'll illustrate my point. If you use average RPU, revenue per unit, $222 a unit, with 30 new units a month, you're going to add about $6,600 in monthly recurring revenue. Now, if you were operating at an industry benchmark level of revenue per unit, if your revenue per unit was 300 plus and you added the same 30 new units a month, you're looking at about $9,500 in additional monthly revenue. So subtract them, right? Take the benchmark RPU 30 units and the average RPU 30 units, and you get a difference of almost $3,000. And that $3,000 is basically all profit. And the reason it's profit is because those revenue per unit dollar amounts, after you take out any sort of cost of goods sold, right, like a resident benefits package expense, that's all profit. So two things can be true at the same time. One is that door count is not the end all be all of property management. But the other is if you do have a profitable property management company set up and operating efficiently, you should definitely be after door growth and adding to your door count because of how it's producing to your bottom line. So this is relevant for everyone. It's relevant for the person who's at the beginning of their journey in their PM company and they need to get to 100 doors just to survive. And it's relevant to the 700, 800, 900 unit company that's trying to build a profitable engine to put those doors into. So door count touches everybody, sales touches everybody. We're having a problem as an industry right now on adding doors, hence the conversation today. So I will get off my soapbox and I will turn the mic over to our friends. We'll start with lead generation, which is all about creating demand and opportunities. So let's start with Yoni, since you've kind of got this big operation, sales and marketing operation. I want to start at the top of your funnel. What channels are working and not working to drive qualified leads to your businesses in your different markets?
Yeah, so I break it down into three main categories, and I'd say owner and realtor referral ecosystems is one, hyper local SEO and AI, call it lead gen and client scoring is two, and the third, of course, is strategic partnerships, which many people would call networking, but we're call it like engineered alliances with either other property management companies, professionals in the industry, lenders, insurance brokers, people who we know that leads can come from, which ultimately lead to, larger owners ultimately like finding us, coming, feeling confident, trusting us, and ultimately converting into clients. So those are the three things that I'm seeing that are working. Of course, you also have the balance of SEO, which is your slow burn, right? It's the stuff that you do online to make your digital presence, stand out and pop out. And then, of course, the PPC, which is I need results right now, but I'm spending a lot of money to get it. Growth engine, and it's a matter of turning all of those faucets on, and at a cadence or at a level that is also appropriate for your team's capacity. Because the last thing you want is to scale and scramble. Make sure that you're hiring ahead of the need, and you may be shrinking some gross profit margins there, but at least you're able and you're capable to take on more doors as those leads come in. And on Tuesday next week, when I have a meeting with a family who has 150 single family residential homes in the Tulsa market, all paid off, they're sick of managing it themselves. Yeah. We're ready and prepared to take on those doors if need be, and they decide to hire us.
Yeah, that's really good and really helpful. Could you what did you call number three? What was the phrase you used for that?
Engineered alliances. Yeah. So strategic partnerships, which actually led to, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask you to give an example of what a successful instance of that has looked like.
I mean, a successful instance is a tuck-in acquisition that we are completing today. It's a small one. It's 14 doors. It's an owner who owned a moving company or still owns a moving company and thought, why don't I start a property management business as well? He scaled to about 14 doors and realized, you know what, this isn't something that I want to be doing myself. But we had a relationship with him. And we built the relationship actually from a BNI referral that came to us a few weeks back. And we've had a relationship with him. We built this relationship, and it resulted in a 14 door tuck-in acquisition that's split between the Oklahoma City and the Tulsa market. So, having those or building those strategic alliances with, operators who are on the smaller side of things. They don't have the systems, they don't have the processes, and they ultimately may want to exit this industry is a good example. And of course, there's always lenders, insurance brokers. Your vendors are great referral partners and engineered alliances because they sometimes go out to a property and they hear an owner saying, "I'm sick of dealing with this on my own." And they could say, "Well, why don't you call KeyRenter and have a conversation with their business development manager?" And from there, the opportunity presents itself. It's about us knowing how to recognize it and seize that opportunity to bring on another owner.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good example. That's really cool. All right, Christy, over to you. What channels on the lead gen side are working for you guys?
Yeah, so first I would say that SEO is imperative, but not all SEO is created equal. We switched our SEO provider about a year ago, and they're proactive. They're obviously experts in the industry, and they actually execute. And so that was a really great switch for us. We committed to video over the last year and really trying to be the thought leader and the expert in the market. And that we're starting to get leads from our videos as well as our blogs. And then we removed the barriers to entry. So we actually do get leads from Facebook, which it kind of shocked all of us. But we use Calendly for our BDM. So there's no barrier to getting on our BDM schedule. So if they call, they're automatically getting a text message with the Calendly link if our BDM can't pick up. And so we just really committing to the videos, the blogs, the social media, and our referral partner program has also been growing over the last year as well.
Yeah. Okay, good. Isaiah wanted to know who your SEO provider that you switched to is, where you've gotten better results.
WebXD.
WebXD.
Yep.
There we go. Okay. Very good. Doug, how about you? You're and maybe just a little background too on, just give me the 1 minute version on how you went from 0 to 500 doors in like 18 months.
Let's see. So the 1 minute version is going to be that I've been in this industry for about a decade before branching off, starting my own company. And so I had already spent a fair amount of time building up different networks and relationships, strategic partnerships, and just am known in the industry in our small little local market. And so that's certainly helped start things off. And then along with that, it's been a slew of existing client referrals. And so that's what we've done. I don't have any social media. I don't even have any different accounts on the different platforms. And well, certainly that's something that I plan to do at some point in the future. I just don't have capacity, and I'm entirely focused on one thing, and that's trying to build more partnerships and referrals from existing clients. And so that's been huge for us, is focusing both on owner referrals and like broker referrals. And I say broker instead of realtor because I work with both loan officers and realtors on referrals. And I go to their, a lot of them have weekly sales meetings. And so I'll go to their weekly sales meetings and give presentations, and I get CE certified for that. And so they're getting C credits, which they love. And then number two, they're getting advice on, hey, what are we doing with the current rental trends? What are the current rent rates? How do you deal with the different laws? And because in Oregon, we're pretty heavily regulated, and especially in specific cities too. And so being able to be that key person they can rely on when they have a problem and look like a hero to their clients, like that's a big part of what I do, kind of building strategic partnerships with both brokers, lenders and realtors.
Yeah, let's double tap on the lenders thing for a second. Most people at least say they do some relationship building with local real estate agents and brokers and realtors and things like that. I've definitely heard the weekly sales meeting. I've done some of that myself. The loan officers, the mortgage side, that's a little different. Any just kind of nuggets for breaking into that world, or the way that you approach them differently than realtors? If people are thinking, well, just like I did right now, like, oh, that's another avenue where I could start to build relationships and get in, before the property closes with these sorts of owners. Anything to note there on the loan officer side?
In regard to connecting with loan officers versus realtors, it's very similar actually. And a lot of them on the realtors or loan officer side, both looking for rent comps. Hey, if my client's going to buy this home, how much is it going to rent for? Or conversely, if they're going to move out from their home but try and keep it as a rental, how much are they going to be able to rent it out for? Because that's going to help out with their DTI calculations. And so being able to be that resource around rates is super helpful. And then number two, how do I deal with a property that has a tenant in it? And I want to get them out. What are the laws, rules, regs, timeline, notices, all that? And so between the rent rates and all the rules and requirements around dealing with people, I'm able to educate them so that they can educate their clients and look like a hero to their clients. And it makes
Mhm.
them look really good. And on the back end, any referral we get, just making sure that they end up looking amazing to their client for making that referral type thing. And so those have been really big in regard to how I build those relationships, rent comps, and the laws around how to deal with tenants.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Education being the common theme there. All right.
Yep.
So let's talk marketing plans. Christy, I'll start with you here. When you're looking at structuring a marketing plan and kind of analyzing your different marketing channels, maybe looking at analyzing spend as well, how do you structure that? How do you think through the different elements of putting a plan together to get predictable lead generation on a regular basis?
From a lot of things not working. We spent about a year of trying multiple different strategies and kept a lot of data, really paid attention to the outcome of each different strategy. And then we pivoted. And uh, a year later, now we know exactly where our leads are coming from, and we know who our avatars are. We know each different ad that we're putting out is speaking to a specific avatar. So everything is very strategic that we're putting out right now. So knowing who your clients are, who are the owners, what are they looking for, and building that trust without even talking to them yet was our foundation.
Yeah. Can you give an example of either one of your avatars, or just kind of explain to everybody what you mean when you say that, so that they don't think about a tall, skinny blue person surfing
Yeah,
underwater?
although that would be cool. No, our avatars are so who our clients are what we call accidental landlords. So the people that are just kind of falling into property management. Maybe they're traveling for work for 2 years and need somebody to take over their property while they're gone. Or our seasoned investors, which is a smaller percentage of our business. But they still exist. And also brokers. We're about to start launching some campaigns around making those strategic alliances with brokers to bring in their own clients. So that's what I mean when I talk about our avatars, our different little buckets of people.
And then targeting them fairly specifically so that
Mhm.
you mostly end up with leads that fit in one of those buckets.
Exactly. Everything is hyper targeted, except for like our blogs and our podcast, and some of the videos are more statewide or just industry wide. But
Mhm.
what the places that we're spending money, like our Facebook marketing, all of our social media, Reddit, all of those are really hyper targeted to our avatar.
Okay. Okay. Yoni, how about you? You've got different markets to consider. You've got a staff to consider. How do you structure these marketing efforts?
Yeah, I mean, first off is like, of course, having a plan in place and, breaking it down into bite sizes so that you know exactly, okay, so PPC, SEO, podcasting, and so on and so forth. I completely agree with Christy, as it relates to having your ideal client profiles really laid out. And we have, in our BDM and sales VA handbook, 2 pages that are just really breaking down our ideal client profiles. They fall into, again, certain buckets like accidental landlords, institutional investors, local investors, referral partners, and those engineer alliances. And we target, each of them with different type of content, different type of information. We educate them. Sales and marketing is the big idea here is that I think it's more like surgery. It's not a spray and pray type of philosophy, and hope is not a strategy. So we know we have to be pretty surgical when it comes to advertising and marketing our services to those specific ideal client profiles. So that is definitely how we've seen success in this area. And of course, we're continuing to develop it and refine it as we're learning more from our current clients.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Okay, let's move over to sales. So we talked about some different lead.
And Brad, if I can chime in real quick,
Oh, go ahead.
and
Go ahead.
give a controversial topic on sales and marketing
Please.
plans.
We love controversy.
And so with us, I haven't spent $1 in marketing. And outside of the initial build of my website a year ago and my annual BNI membership, my unit acquisition cost is like $4 a unit. It's silly. And so the biggest thing that we do for our marketing plans is I've actually committed to just hiring A players on our team. And my marketing plan is anytime a problem comes across my desk or any one of my team members' desks, we address it both thoughtfully and promptly. And those two things have the biggest impact, both for our residents and our owners' ultimate experience, that it makes a huge difference in how they think about us and treat us. And it's been instrumental, I think, in how it's really helped us grow without having to spend any money or do any advertising. And so having 100% referral-based marketing plan through the strategic partnerships and just being known in the industry has been really helpful in adding doors in a way that doesn't cost a lot of money from a marketing perspective, but operationally, you pay more for A players. And that's a big part of the only reason why I'm able to sit in this room today. I have an amazing team back at the office, and they're out doing everything, making it all happen. They're incredible. And I got totally lucky in hiring them. And I feel grateful to have them on the team. But having those people run, manage, build, grow, and I'm there kind of oversight and working alongside them. But that's my marketing plan. And it's kind of a different way, perhaps, to view the marketing engine that I thought might be beneficial.
Yeah, it really is, because most people look at that and they're like, oh, that's a great retention strategy. If you have A players and you pay them well, and because owner churn happens really in two different places, in my experience. It happens when the tenant turns over, and it happens when the property manager turns over. Obviously, there are exceptions, hot market, or they have to move or whatever, or they have to move back in the house, those exist. But the places where we can pinpoint are tenant moves out and PM turns over. Well, having a great property manager that you pay really well, who does an amazing job, helps prevent both of those things. And so that leads to the great owner experience, which is a retention strategy. But what you've done is create owners who are such fans of your operation that that leads to a lot of referrals from your existing owners. Is that kind of how you would describe how that door growth has happened through excellence in operation?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
Okay. Yep. So customer service as a door growth strategy, not just retention. It's awesome.
Yeah.
The no rules, I think, is kind of like the philosophy is like hire and pay for, A players.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Thomas, I'm going to answer that question like almost very directly, but I do want our panelists to weigh in on that. We'll get there when we do growth planning and strategy, which is parts 3 and 4. Okay, sales. Throwing up another poll here. I want to know your biggest sales bottleneck. Is it leads? Is it conversion rate? Is it follow-up process? Or is it your inability as a owner operator to get out there and sell? That's mostly relevant for folks who don't have BDMs. If you have a BDM, you can't use the excuse no time to sell. That's their job. Okay, so as that poll is coming through, I will ask my first question, which is, what best practices are helping you consistently win new doors? I'm going to throw this out to the group. Won't put anybody on the spot, but give me a best practice that's helping you nail your conversion rate. Don't make me choose somebody. Yoni, go first. No, Christy, you're about to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say probably FOMO. I mean, recently we watch what our leads are doing. If leads start slowing down a little bit, we put out a small little deal with an end date on it. And I will tell you, the last week of the month is typically where we would end those deals. People that last day is like a flurry of agreements because people want to get those deals. So we really play off of FOMO um, during like the slower months, like we're having like right now.
Yeah. All right. Let me send this poll up before we move on. Okay, here you go. Biggest sales bottleneck, lead gen. So conversion is an issue, kind of equal split, don't have time. Follow-up rhythm is shaky, conversion rate. Add all those up and you get actually the exact same as qualified leads. So lead generation still a big issue. But for those qualified leads that we do get, Yoni, why don't you give us one of your best practices in helping you consistently close the opportunities that you do get?
I think, for us, it's been we've employed the giver's gain philosophy and the generally just like what is it? What's that book called? The Go Giver philosophy, right? Which talks about the 5 laws of stratospheric success. So adding value into people's lives with the expectation of nothing in return and trying to serve as many people as possible, as best as we can has generally been a good philosophy. The practices are solving problems. It comes down to, can we solve this person's problem? Can we meet their needs? Are we asking the right questions? If they have a specific pain point, for example, we have a house in St. Louis right now with an owner in California who needs the tenant evicted because they haven't been paying for 3 months and they're managing it, remote. Can we be the solution to that pain point? And can we articulate the solution in a way that is clear, concise, and actionable for the owner to understand? Here's where we are. These are the steps that we're going to take, and this is the outcome that we are expecting. That's really been, one of our I'd say greatest strengths. And then when an owner or when someone is resistant or they're objecting or they're just not where we want them to be, to say, okay, I'm ready to sign on, asking a simple question that, such as, okay, what has to happen for you to, sign up with us this week?
Needs
Let
to be
them frame the solution in their mind and start convincing themselves of what does that solution need to be? Okay, it needs to be you charging me 8% of, rent. Is this something that we can do? Is the Dan Sullivan question? Yeah. So, let them come up with the solution. And then if you're okay with it, say, okay, let's do it. That's a good solution. Let's move forward. If we do this today, can you sign on?
Yeah, yeah. If I could, there's the Dan Sullivan question, and then there's the if I could show you a way, like if I could, I hear you and I understand, you internalize, you speak it back to them. If I could show you a way to solve that problem, if I could solve that problem, if we could solve that problem, then what would there be anything else holding you back from moving forward? Yeah,
Yeah.
putting it in their court so that if you can solve the problem and you do have the solution, they're kind of in a place where they're like, well, I made that commitment, I agreed to it. Like
Yeah.
there's no friction anymore about can this be done?
Yeah.
And,
They've convinced themselves by framing the solution in their own words.
correct. Yep. That's really good. Doug, how about you, sir?
There's a couple different things. Number one is going to be speed to lead, how quickly someone inquires, and then kind of dovetailed with that is going to be availability. And having those two things, I think, are going to be some of the biggest levers you can pull on that are pretty easy to pull on to be able to increase winning new doors. Because if you respond quickly as a BDM, people may interpret that as, hey, operations are also going to respond quickly. This is the experience I'm having. What's my first impression with this client? So number one, responding to inquiries as fast as humanly possible. And sounds like Chrissy has an amazing system for making that happen. And then also the availability of the person to be able to talk with someone. Do you want to have 24-hour availability? Do you want to have just business hour availability? Do you want to have certain days or just time slots? And so figuring out what you think is going to work best for you, and then figuring out from a client perspective, well, it's going to work for them when they're thinking about it. That's when they have the pain point. That's when they want to talk about it. So if you're available when they want to talk about it, chances are you're going to have a higher chance of converting that business. And then also something else that we do, and it's not from a like I didn't do it out of marketing thing, it's just purely a capacity thing, but we have a wait list for new clients. And so for the any new clients, we've had a 2-month wait list going for gosh, I think the last 6 months now. And just operationally, we can only onboard so many doors per month without dropping the ball somewhere. And so people knowing that, hey, sorry, there's a wait list here. And we've certainly lost a number of doors because of that, because someone says, hey, my property's vacant, I'm ready to start renting it. I just finished all the work. Can you start tomorrow? And on those, we just simply have to pass. And we have different partnerships and different PM companies I'm able to refer those to. But having a wait list, I think, really ultimately has really helped us in the long term in attracting the right type of clients. I mean, our churn was 99, sorry, owner retention was 99.2%. And so on an annualized basis, and that's huge in the market. And granted, we're a new company, but it's being able to attract the right kind of clients is also really important for the ops side. So you're not churning employees because you're bringing on all these problem owners that are really painful to deal with, and able to work with the people that are going to be a good fit, because there's a right company for every type of client. It just, our niche is this. Are you looking for this? If so, I'd love the opportunity to work with you. As long as you're able to communicate with us, as long as you're an owner that cares about your property, willing to do repairs on it, and that you agree to allow us to manage it instead of you trying to manage every step of the process. And so I think that's been what's really helped us win new doors. Right clients, availability, speed to lead.
I will
Yeah.
add that speed to
Go
lead is
ahead.
a huge thing. I mean, we have a requirement basically that leads have to be handled within 5 minutes of them coming in, and we know that the graph shows that if you pass that 5 minute point, your chance of winning that lead just drops drastically by about 90%. So you want to be the first one to get on the phone with them, the first one to reach out to them. And I also agree with Doug in terms of having some sort of rubric cube to qualify owners and properties to make sure that they are the right fit, so that you're not bringing on those problem properties, and you're writing checks that your ops team can't cash.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons that our systems work so well is because we are already set up to have our speed to lead dialed in because of the way that our systems immediately reach out to somebody if the phone isn't answered because our BDM is in a meeting, or maybe it's after business hours. And then no barrier. Like, there is a link that you can click on and go right to our BDM's calendar and schedule immediately. And I also agree with Doug on the standard. We have an SJA standard. Not everybody gets to come in and be a client of ours because we want to keep a really higher quality, more luxury owner, because that is our standard. We do say no to people. And I think that that's also a really great selling point when somebody is coming back with an objection. And we're like, okay, and we know that they're going to be a good client, but maybe they don't realize it yet. And it's like, that's okay. We're not a good fit for everybody. And typically when you draw that line, they're like, oh, wait, I can't get in the club. No, I want to be in the club. So that's a really good one. And we stand by that, which is something that I really appreciate. So even though we're growing, we have kept our same standard of service, our same standard of the expectations of our owners. And that's been really helpful for us too.
Yeah.
I will say one other thing in terms of the immediate response email that goes out from our team anytime a lead comes in, is of course embedding videos of the BDMs. That's something that I ask during the interview process. I say, are you comfortable on video? Can you record, at least 1 or 2 videos every single week? That will be a requirement of your job, and embed that video in the immediate response email that goes out, because that makes that level of, personalization a lot higher, right? When I'm calling you, Brad, and I'm saying, hey, Brad, Yoni here with Key Renter, and you've watched a video with my face, and you can put my, face with the name, and vice versa, there's just a little bit more trust that's immediately built there.
Yeah, no doubt. That's good. I want to make sure that we get to all segments of this. So I'm skipping this question about differentiating services, though if it comes up, please bring it up because I am always curious to get people's take on this. But I want to head over to growth planning and forecasting and um, leading an organization or managing your own organization to engineer predictable results, which is a big part of the game. It's not just, like you said, spray and pray. It's not just having targeted marketing, but it's also being really strategic on the planning side about what are our goals for the year, how are we going to achieve them, what has to be true. So I'll start kind of open ended. What are the secrets to sustainable, predictable growth? All of you have that right now. Doug, you've mentioned it a little bit. Maybe I'll start with you since we didn't have you go on there a lot on the last segment. But what are your key strategies for sustainable and predictable growth?
So that's going to go back to actually what I said earlier is just the fact of anytime there's a problem, we're going to address it both thoughtfully and promptly. When someone calls our office, we're actually able to help the problem or help them with their problem. They're not calling to say, hello, how are you doing? How's life? They're calling because there's something wrong with their house, where they live, or their finances usually, or it's a maintenance concern. But like those are pretty big topics. And so, how do you make that a better experience for people? And being able to deliver a better level of service with people that can actually help, as opposed to just sending people the voicemails or emails or texts only. I think that makes a huge difference in being able to build that referral network of people that are truly happy to have you there, along with helping build your Google rating. And
Yeah.
so that's been my biggest secret for predictable growth. Because again, I haven't spent a dollar on marketing and I don't have any advertising channels. It's just I have a website and I do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you've got a you it's interesting for you because given your strategy, if you keep being successful at it, your funnel actually is just going to get bigger and bigger because your primary method of lead gen are your owners referring out to others. And the more owners you get, the more referrals you're going to get. And that's just going to compound upon itself. So as long as you keep doing that, it will keep being predictably huge. And then you have this is what I've just really enjoyed from our conversations, the wait list situation, not as a means of fake scarcity, but as a means of ensuring operational excellence. That sends the message to the owner. We only take, and we do this at Profit Coach. It's the same thing. It's like, I would love to sell 30 coaching clients in a month. We can't onboard successfully 30 coaching clients in a month. So we have to do them in cohorts and we have to do a certain amount per month in order to make sure that the experience is consistent. And that sends a message to people that's like, you care a lot about my experience and making sure that everything is really excellent versus you just want to grow as fast as possible at my expense.
Yeah,
Christy,
absolutely.
go ahead.
Oh, do you want me to answer Charles or we'll get to that later?
What's that? Oh, Charles. Sure, go for it.
Yeah. And so it's 25% is single family and roughly 70% is multifamily and 5% is commercial. And we don't manage any properties with on-site managers. So that's where we draw the line on multifamily. So the majority is single family small plexes. We do have one large complex in regard to it's a 40 unit complex. Um, but that's the makeup and breakdown, and we just don't do on-site management.
Yeah. So you're not getting 200 doors at a time contracts. These are four,
No.
6, 8, 3. Yeah.
Well,
And
yeah,
managed.
last month we onboarded 28 houses, like 28 units. It wasn't a
Yeah.
complex, like, and so it's
Right.
it's just a mix of things depending on the month and depending on the type of client. That was a group of a couple different clients that owned batches of properties. But yeah,
Yeah. And that's another just secret to sustainable, predictable growth is sign people who have double digits of properties.
yeah.
It really works well. Um, Yoni, Christy, what are some of your secrets to predictable growth for your business?
Well, for us, we have our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goals, like our beacon of light that we're all working towards, which is to get to 5,000 doors. And that's going to come with a lot of hard work. We're just over 1,000 right now. but that's everybody's why. Like the whole company is working together to get to that place. So when we're talking about year over year, it's about being, realistic, really digging into the data of what we did the year before. We know how we're growing. And so putting a number to that for knowing what we've done with our marketing budgets and all of the work that we've put in, what does that look like for the next year? So just always shooting for that little beacon of 5,000 doors.
Yeah. Yep. So to recap, having a BHAG, knowing
Mhm.
what you did over the last year is a pretty good indication of what, with some extra, like let's get better, but
Yeah.
is a pretty good indication of what you're going to do in the next year. As an example, I see pretty often people who come to me and we're having a call and they've added 100 doors a year for the last 4 or 5 years of new doors, not net doors, but new doors. And I'm like, what's your goal for next year? I want to add 500 doors. That's probably not going to happen
Yeah.
because, like, I hope it happens, but that's not a realistic goal. A realistic goal would be 150. That's 50% growth on 100 doors. That's fantastic. So knowing the rate at which you play, unless you're going to do something drastically different, can really help you have predictable growth for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yoni, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Chrissy. We run on EOS and love Jim Collins. And so, we also have BHAGs, departmental BHAGs and company-wide BHAGs. We do our quarterly meetings and, our annual planning every single quarter and year. And to achieve sustainable, predictable growth, we have to model it out, right? And it can't just be a wish list. We have to say, and I think Thomas said in the chat something about reverse engineering it basically, and the answer is yes, you do, because you say, okay, if we want to be at 150 doors, if we want to add those 150 doors, how many leads do we have to generate? How many of those need to be valid? How many of those need to become discovery calls and on-site consultations, and then ultimately become PMAs? And we have the leading indicators versus our lagging indicators, which we're measuring things that were happening in the past versus things that we're predicting. And by doing that, we achieve this sustainable, predictable growth. And I think, leaving room for acquisitions is a big, is a pretty important and big, driver of our growth, because we don't just want to grow, owner by owner and door by door or portfolio by portfolio. We also are hunting for those merger acquisitions in the markets that we exist in, and then in other markets that we want to grow in. And we're having those conversations. We're going to NARPM and we're saying to other property management owners of companies, what's your biggest pain point? What are you suffering from? Can we help you? Can we help you grow? Right? And is there any way that in the future you would ultimately sell us your business? And if the answer is yes, let's continue the conversation, of course, in confidentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm obviously not the first person to say this or think this, but I think that growth by small portfolio acquisition is one of the most underappreciated and undervalued means of growth for PM companies out there. The lending is not that difficult to secure. There are plenty of people who have done this for 30 years and they just want to throw in the towel and get some money and get out of the business. And a lot of
You
people have
don't
had.
need lending. You
Yeah,
you
yeah, you
don't
don't.
need lending. You
You don't
do
need lending.
creative financing. You can do
Sure,
creative financing. I'm buying a house right now on creative financing.
sure.
And you'd also be surprised as to the number of real estate agents who are managing small portfolios of 10, 20, 30, 40 doors. And, they're at capacity and they're
Yeah,
saying, this is a full-time job and I'm also selling real estate and I don't want to do this anymore. Those are the best acquisitions because they ultimately become your referral partners because they're selling all these properties to investors. So looking out for those real estate agents who are also doing property management is a big driver of growth that I would recommend everyone look into.
yeah, and maybe something to tuck away for later is if and when. I mean, it's just when because it could be a while, it could be a not a while, but real estate sales goes in cycles. When that swings back up, and you have real estate agents who in the downswing started managing a portfolio of homes that their clients couldn't sell, they're going to get busy with sales and they're going to neglect the property management aspect. And that is an awesome opportunity for all of us to say, hey, we can take it from here. So that's
Yeah.
no
As long as
prognostication
you,
on my part on when that's going to happen, but it will at some
yeah,
point.
as long as you promise to refer the client back
Yes.
if they decide to
Yes.
buy and sell. Don't poach the business from the real estate agent, and don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Before we move on to our fourth section, I want to address one thing. Thomas mentioned this. I promise that was not a plant. He just happened to ask the question that we at Profit Coach are trying very hard to help everyone answer. Personalized guidance for growth planning and forecasting for 2026. So I'd like to offer you the opportunity, if you are interested, to have a call with me personally to talk through how sales and marketing fits in your overall business strategy. So understand your numbers from a holistic standpoint so you can build a predictable and accurate forecast for 2026. Kind of like Thomas was mentioning, working backwards. We know that we want to be here in a year or 2 years. Okay, where are we today? Where do we want to go? And what is it going to take to get from here to there? How many leads? What sort of conversion rate? How are we going to do this operationally? How are we going to structure our labor so that as we're adding doors, we're actually getting closer to our profitability goal or our enterprise value goal or whatever your specific long-term goal is? We want to help make the roadmap to that very clear. So we'll help you identify those highest impact levers to scale profitably without adding chaos. That is my link right there, that huge QR code in your face. That goes right to my calendar. I'd love to meet with you sometime over the next few weeks. There's a poll as well. If you don't have your calendar right in front of you, you can respond yes. We'll send you an email with my link and we can meet. I also wanted to give you a discount. So we very rarely do this. Don't really discount our services much. We try to price them competitively, but we are doing a little Black Friday end of year sale, $500 off a conversion to the NARPM chart of accounts or a conversion review when you also sign up for one of our service packages. So we don't normally advertise our services directly on the Profit Power Hour or give discounts really ever, but it's the end of the year. It's Black Friday. Wanted to put that in front of you. If that's of interest to you, just book that call with me using the QR code and we'll take it from there. There's no pressure to buy from us, but if you want to get some insight on where you're headed and what you need to, what has to be true for you to get where you want to be, I'd love to talk to you. That would be a good time. Okay. Last section, growth leadership, building teams that own the numbers. So, Yoni, let's start with you because you have the biggest team here. How do you hire? You already mentioned you make sure that people are comfortable filming videos of themselves, which in 2025 you just have to do at this point. But how do you hire and coach top performing sales and marketing staff?
Yeah, great question. I mean, the hiring is the first portion. It starts with, Indeed and applications that we receive. They go to they first have an interview with our director of human resources, Naomi Charney. If they pass that, they come on to a second interview with Naomi and me. If they pass that third one, then they go on to a third interview with Naomi, Chris Mankin, our head of people and asset management, and me as well. We do like what's it called, like a mock phone call with an owner. It's an hour and a half long. The third one is an hour and a half long, pretty extensive interview. We also, of course, have them fill out their predictive index, and also record a 60-second video that they send to me to tell me why they think they're the best fit for this role. Once they've gone through all of that, if they're the right fit, then of course we make an offer. In terms of developing them, there's about a 6-month development process that goes into each and every single one of the BDMs, right? They go through our entire handbook, and inside our handbook are our playbooks for inbound, outbound, whatever it is that we're doing. They're learning almost anything and everything about our businesses, our systems, our processes, our philosophies, our standard operating procedures, because we need them to know it so well to the point where they can eloquently discuss it and outline it to owners. When they say, what does your leasing process look like? What does your approval criteria look like? What does your maintenance process look like, or accounting process, or so on and so forth? So we've developed the resources for us internally and also externally to help those BDMs, arm them with the weapons and the solutions to educate our owners, and then don't be a boss, be a coach is kind of what I try to embody. And I always come from a place of the servant leader mentality. I'm here to serve my team. I'm here to empower my team. Their numbers at the end of the month are their scorecard. It's not their worth. It's not what they're worth. And just being human about it and understanding that, people will fail, people will make mistakes. Learning from those mistakes and moving on and failing forward is an important part of coaching and helping them grow, not by doing work for them, but by having them do the work, reviewing their work, and telling them where did something fail, or where did you do well. There's a saying. It's like, I'm not going to use it because it's some vulgar language, right? But you give them a sandwich, right? You did good here, you did bad here, and here's where you can improve on and what you can do better, or what else is good. It's listening to a lot of phone calls. I use Notebook LM. I uploaded all of our stuff into Notebook LM. I download the entire transcript of a call and the call that a BDM is having with a prospective owner, and then I upload that into Notebook LM. And I have like a feedback loop for every BDM and for each call that they do, and it just spits it out. And I have to listen to the call and make sure, of course, that it's accurate. But providing them with actionable feedback on their calls can help them in the future. And it's also transparent. I do it to calls that I've had in the past and that I'm having right now. And the BDMs can see where I'm doing well, where I'm forgetting to, say, okay, next steps are this, for example. And where I can improve personally. Those are just like in a nutshell, kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, it's really good. Those are some good coaching tips. Christy, how about you?
Well, I am our team's biggest cheerleader. I celebrate all the wins. We have our one-on-ones where we talk about each account in the pipeline, whether it's a new hot lead or if it's in circle back. We want to know all of it every week, where everybody is at. I think it's really important to know your people and you manage to the person. I walk alongside our team, so it's not like my door is closed, don't talk to Christy. It's like, please come in, let's celebrate it. I'll do a high kick, whatever I need to do, because my job is to keep our teams motivated, grinding, and performing. And that happens by caring about your people, pouring into them constantly, real-time redirection, real-time coaching. We go over clients that closed and we go over clients that haven't closed, that they've maybe chosen a different company. I don't know why they would do that, but they have. And we go over that and we talk about it and have real-time conversations in the moment, because now you can take this to the next call and try again. So I think it's really just pouring into your people and being a cheerleader and celebrating the wins and viewing mistakes or failures as opportunities. Opportunity to level up. It's not a people problem. Maybe it's a systems problem, but we're not going to know about it unless we talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Doug, how about you? I know you don't have direct sales and marketing staff, but you've got an A+ group of people hiring and coaching. What are your main takeaways for us?
Absolutely. And just on the sales and marketing side of things, again, the problem in front of me is my sales and marketing opportunity. And then also just from the sales and marketing side of things, I'm a member of Profit Coach and working with you guys to help build the forecast. What do I want numbers to look like? And then working backwards from that. And then the coaching comes from the team, how you can do that. I totally agree with being the biggest cheerleader. We also run on EOS, and having those key systems in place so you can kind of really help. Once you've found the right person, it's so much easier than if you got the wrong person in the wrong seat type thing. And so getting the right people in the front end makes all the difference in the back end. And I couldn't agree more with what Christy and Yoni both said. Spot on.
Yeah, really good, guys. Okay, well, we are at time. It is 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. Before we go, wanted to let you know a little special treat for you. December 10th, Profit Power Hour is our next one and our last one of the year. We will have Greg Crabtree, one of the OGs in service business unit economics. If you've ever read his book, Simple Numbers, or taken a look at it, you will immediately identify with Profit Coach and our kind of thinking on how we look at PM finance and the business of unit economics based service companies. So he's going to come. He runs a 100-company model. This is really cool. We do a lot of work, specifically and on this webinar, on property management specific trends and data. He does that for small private companies across industries. So when you're thinking like, what is the macro business environment like right now? The S&P is interesting, but you're not an AI company. Greg's model, I think, is a little more interesting because it's companies like our companies. How are they faring? What are their trends? He's going to be here. We're going to sync that up with what we're seeing in some updated PM data that we have from our clients. And it's going to be a great conversation. That's December 10th at noon Central. So we will see you there. Thank you for coming today. Thank you to our panelists for their attendance, and looking forward to doing it again soon. See you later.
Thanks so much.
Brad.
Thank
Yeah.
you.